Trailblazers, we have a lot to talk about when it comes to Aglaea coming to HSR within the next week. Now, or this week in general. Now, of course, for these, we always look at the 4-star characters, but there is going to be one thing I touch upon near the end of the video, so make sure to watch all the way through. Now, before we get into that, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and comment down below if you're excited for Aglaea coming to Honkai Star Rail. Now, with what I talk about here, right? I do like talking about units and how good they are in the banners and just in general where they're good at within, the new or not new, but through the permanent game modes that happen for the end game of HSR. So today we're going to talk about the 4-stars first, like we always do. And we're going to talk about Pridewind's tier list. I know a lot of people disagree with it, but at the same time, it is a good gauge. Doesn't mean that it's accurate, just means that it is a decent gauge for understanding what units could be better, what could be worse, all that stuff. So let's talk about Su Shang first. Su Shang is one of those characters that has just fallen off horribly. I remember back when HSR started, Su Shang was actually like a decent character to have on your team. Wasn't the best damage dealer, but decent if you wanted to use them. But of course, that was the start of Honkai Star Rail. So now, Su Shang has just fallen by the wayside. If we go on the Pridewin tier list, if you look here at E0, she's tier 5. And even at E6, she's tier 5 through MOC, Pure Fiction, and then tier 4 for the boss rush mode. I keep forgetting what it's called. Apocalyptic Shadow. That's what it was. But I don't think she's necessarily terrible. It's just more so that there's plenty of other 4-stars that work better than her. Like, we could look through this and all these 4-stars are right there. But yeah, I would definitely say that if you look at Zhui Yi is better in general. In E6, I either want to say Qingui or Keqing or whatever you want to call her. She is decently better, but it's mostly like the 5-stars we're looking for, as you could see. But at the same time, I don't think that Su Shang is going to be that like 4-star damage dealer that you shy away from if you don't have any damage dealers, right? But I will say that if you don't have any 5-star damage dealers, you're either really brand new or you just choose not to summon for them. But that's neither here nor there. I will look at Su Shang and I will say it's going to be a no from me. No from me, dog. I don't think that you should really summon for her because really that's all she is just the damage dealer. There's not really anything like crazy about her to understand. Use her skill, you buff up, do damage. Really nothing too crazy, right? Speaking of nothing too crazy, Hanya, outside of being crazy hot, lacks something, obviously. Now, for her, her main thing is that if you use her skill, she inflicts, what's the status called? I can find it right over here. Burden. She inflicts burden, and what it does is for the next 2 basic attacks that you use against the enemy, you gain skill points, double the amount of skill points, basically. So, instead of getting 1, you get 2. Fantastic, right? Not in this day and age of Honkai Star Rail, right? She's good. Like, she's a good unit in, like, slower pace, like, modes and stuff like that, where you don't need to worry about taking too much damage. But when it comes to, like, all the endgame mode stuff, like, we could take a look at her right here. MOC, she's tier 4, tier 5 over for Pure Fiction, and tier 4 for Apocalyptic Shadow. But once you get her to E6, she's still tier 5 for Pure Fiction. But she boosts up to tier 3. Now, or she's already at, well, yeah, you get what I mean. She's tier 4 right here, but she moves up 1 tier. She's not really sharing the space with anybody else. She's not really outpacing. She's not even outpacing, apparently, Asta, right? And Asta's been in the game since the beginning. Like, to me, I think Hanya has a decent kit, but the problem is that it just works too slow for what you're wanting. Like, if you look at Harmony characters, right, you could look at a character like Sparkle, and you could use her ultimate and gain 4 skill points just from the ultimate itself by just playing. Not to say that Hanya should be comparable to Sparkle, but it's just that's how the game has kind of evolved with it. Sparkle's become one of those characters that people just summon for. right? You see Sparkle on a banner, you summon for her, right? And that's not including any of the other Harmony characters that we got. We even got Bronya from like one of the first 5 stars, and she's still considered like top tier like meta characters. We have Ting Yun and Pella, who are the top of the support systems, and Ting Yun and Pella have been here since the start of the game. We got other like Harmony characters that just come out that are just that dang good. You got obviously Sunday. You got your Ron Mays. You got your Robbins, who is insane, and of course what we talked about earlier with Sparkle. So for me, Hanya is just kind of falling off by the wayside. I don't think Hanya is ever gonna like have reawakening, I guess, in the sense, and that's what sucks about. I would say I guess you could say power creep, because the only 2 characters that have survived the power creep in the support station is Pella and Ting Yun. Otherwise, like really everybody's just kind of fallen off, and it's all 5 stars from here. Granted, that's how a game normally works anyway, but for people who are saying power creep's not there, it's there. Whether it's slow or fast, it's there. So Hanya, to me, is going to get a thumbs down. You don't need to worry about her. Go for other Harmony units. Like Ting Yun. Let's talk about Ting Yun, baby. My favorite girl. I love her so much. Ting Yun is absolutely bonkers for just being a 4-star unit, right? So her ultimate gives energy to one of your characters, right? And it's pretty big. It's pretty big for your like damage dealers who need that energy to like clap back and basically be able to use their ultimate as soon as possible. She boosts attack. She freaking does a lot of oh, excuse me. I just woke up and haven't had my coffee yet. But yeah. Ting Yun is still considered one of the best, like, Harmony characters in the game. Like, if we look at this tier list, right, we're seeing Ting Yun here in the tier 1 across the board for the most part. Yes, at E0, she's tier 1.5 to tier 2, depending on which endgame you're using. But if you really look at it, she is a tier 1 character. Still meta-inducing characters. And there's not a lot of characters from the beginning of the game that are like that. Like, if you look, we have, Ting Yun, we have Pella, and even Serval got a bump, which is pretty crazy to me. Herta's still up there for, like, pure fiction and everything, but apparently she's doing really, really well MOC and Apocalyptic Shadow. I haven't tried her out in those ones yet. But yes, Ting Yun is still one of those characters that if you haven't E6'd her yet, you should get it done, because she is really, really good at E6. So I'm going to give her a thumbs up. Plus, she's my waifu. Love her to death. Now let's talk about Aglaea. Aglaea is going to be the first 5-star remembrance character. And I have a couple things to talk about when it comes to her and her ability, right? So, on her skill, she summons what's called the Garment Maker, which is going to be a pet, like we've seen with the Trailblazer with Mem. So, if she uses her skill, she's going to summon Garment Maker. If she summons Garment Maker already and uses the skill, it's going to heal the Garment Maker instead, right? Her ultimate restores Garment Maker HP as well to max, mind you. Immediate action from Aglaea, which puts her in the Supreme stance. Aglaea gains speed stacks off of Garment Maker's talent through the Supreme stance and enhances attack, right? Her technique summons Garment Maker as well, regens 30 energy, and inflicts what's called Seam Stitch for the Garment Maker. If you don't know what Seam Stitch is, Seam Stitch stacks speed by 63% per stack when the enemy is attacked that's inflicted with Seam Stitch, which is pretty dang good for Garment Maker. He's going to be going off, right? And then Garment Maker, when he's out on the field and disappears, regens energy to Aglaea, and then has a lot of AoE damage capabilities. Remembrance is one of those, like, it's a new type, so it's going to be a little bit wonky at first, but I think this has a lot of potential to do really, really good. Now, I need to see more Remembrance characters before I say, like, Aglaea is going to be the, like, meta-breaking character, but I don't have the ability to play Aglaea before she releases. I'm not in that Hoyoverse creator program, even though I am a Hoyo creator, an official one. But I will say that from what I've seen, she seems really good. Is it a should you summon? it's tough because the like 2 out of the 3 4-stars are terrible. Like let's just call a spade a spade. 2 out of the 3 4-stars are terrible. Does that mean that Aglaea is not worth it? I would say that she's kind of worth it, especially being the like part of the new typing. It's good to start stacking up those team members if you have the summons. If you're waiting for a specific character, I don't blame you for skipping Aglaea. I really don't. But when it comes to like if you're trying to build multiple teams, Aglaea has a lot of potential. Being able to do AoE damage, have 2 characters out on the field at the same time, basically. Increasing speed, attack to your Garment Maker, Maker increasing the speed of your Aglaea. There's just a lot to think about when it comes to her and her gameplay. So, I'm going to give it a tentative yes, you should summon on Aglaea. Just from the paperwork alone, like looking at everything, I think that she has a lot of potential to do a lot of really good things. So I'm really hoping that she turns out to be an amazing character. So let me know in the comments down below if you are excited for Aglaea and if you're summoning for her. So once again, this is Tyler signing off. Thank you so much, and we will see y'all in the next video. Please take care and be safe.